Mohammed continued to impugn his own credibility with the following hadith. He forgot that he had told Muslims that the Islamicized Abraham spoke in the cradle too.
Bukhari, the Prophet said, "None spoke in cradle but three. The first was Jesus. The second was an Israeli called Juraj. While he was offering his prayers, his mother called him. He said, 'Shall I answer her or keep on praying?' He went on praying and did not answer her. His mother said, 'O Allah, do not let him die till he sees the faces of prostitutes.'"
The story goes downhill from there, but you get the picture. And speaking of pictures, in the very next hadith, the man who claimed to know more about Yeshua than Christ's disciples said,
Bukhari, the Prophet shared, "I met Jesus." The Prophet described him, saying, "He was one of moderate height and was red-faced, as if he had just come out of the bathroom." Quran 3, verse 47. Mary said, "O my Lord, how shall I have a son when no man has touched me?" He said, "Even so, Allah creates what He wills. When He has decreed a plan, He but says to it, 'Be,' and it is."
If Yeshua was virgin-born, if he was created as a direct result of a godly order, then he is unique among all creation. While it's true, it makes Islam false. According to the Koran, Allah made Adam, and then from Adam came all men, including Mohammed, but not Yeshua. So how can the Messiah be born of a virgin and not be divine? Ask yourself this: if Mohammed was conceived the old-fashioned way, and Yeshua was formed by a direct order from Yahweh, whom would you trust to tell us the way back to Yahweh? Islam's prophet covers this same material in his hadith the noble Quran refers to.
Bukhari, Allah's messenger said, "Isa, or Jesus, the son of Miriam, will shortly descend among you Muslims, and will judge mankind by the law of the Quran. He will break the cross and kill the swine."
By swine he's referring lovingly to Jews.
"And there will be no jizya tax taken from non-Muslims. Money will be so abundant no one will accept it. So you may recite this holy verse. Isa, or Jesus, was just a human being before his death. On the day of resurrection, he will be a witness against the Christians."
I wonder if the Pope read this before he kissed the Koran and praised Islam. On a roll, the false prophet proclaimed.
Bukhari, Allah's apostle said, "How will you be when the son of Mary, that is, Jesus, descends amongst you, and he will judge people by the law of the Quran and not by the law of the gospel?"
First, there are no laws in the gospel. Christ's sacrifice on the cross provided a reprieve from Old Covenant laws. Second, if the Quran existed before Yeshua was born, and if the Gospels are of no value, why did Allah bother revealing them? Before we leave this section of Bukhari, I'd like to reiterate Muhammad's greatest lie.
I heard Allah's apostle saying, "I am the nearest of all people to Jesus. There has been no prophet between me and Jesus. All the prophets are paternal brothers. Their mothers are different, but their religion is one."
No, 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 and especially no. But it's interesting. Muhammad is either claiming that God begot many sons in conflict with the Quran, or that he's a Jew, which is possible considering the circumstances surrounding his conception in Yathrib. Returning to the Quran.
Quran 3, verse 48. "And Allah will teach him the scripture book and wisdom, the Torah and the gospel, and appoint him a messenger to the children of Israel with this message. Lo, I come unto you with a sign from your Lord. Lo, I fashion for you out of clay the likeness of a bird, and I breathe into it, and it is a bird, by Allah's leave. I heal him who was born blind, and the leper, and I raise the dead by Allah's leave."
Since the Gospels record the words and deeds of Christ, past tense, saying that Allah taught him his history and life makes absolutely no sense. And if the Gospels were so important, why aren't any of the Messiah's teachings in the Quran? Further, if Yeshua was the Messiah, he authored the Torah. The Messiah came to save all mankind, not just the Jews. The story of the clay bird comes from an apocryphal work attributed to Thomas. Not only didn't it occur, think for a moment about the absurdity of singling out something that trivial from a laundry list that includes returning sight to men born blind, curing leprosy, and bringing the dead back to life. What's more, this is one of those things that is so right, it makes Islam wrong. Yes, Allah's right. Yeshua did heal the blind, the lepers, and he brought the dead back to life. So how did he do that if he wasn't God? And equally important, since Mohammad didn't do a single miracle, why trust him over the Messiah? As if reading a different Arabic text, the Ali Ahmed translation says,
in Quran 3 verse 48, "He will teach him the law and the judgment, the Torah and the gospel, and he will be apostle to the children of Israel, saying, I have come to you with a prodigy from your Lord, that I will fashion the state of destiny out of the mire for you to breathe a new spirit into it, and you will rise by the will of Allah."
Again, Allah is confused. The Torah is the law, actually the instructions or prescriptions. There is no book of judgment in Judaism. In Christianity, the good news of the Gospels is that judgment has been eliminated. Since the central message of the New Covenant is not laws and judgment, but a reprieve from them, why would Allah bother to teach Jesus such things? And why would Allah say that Yeshua was going to fashion a state of destiny out of the mire for Israel, and breathe new life into it, when in fact, as predicted in the Bible, Israel was destroyed shortly after Yeshua was crucified, and the Jews were dispersed for nearly 2,000 years. I recognize that Mecca is a long way from civilization, but Allah ought to be smarter than this. Yeshua correctly predicted the future. Allah couldn't even get the past right. Speaking as if he were Yeshua, Allah continues to flail blindly.
Quran 3 verse 50, "I have come to you to attest the Torah which was before me, and to make lawful to you part of what was forbidden. I have come to you with a sign from your Lord."
That's interesting. Mohammed said countless times that Allah had brought signs during his life, yet there were none. So why is it then that Yeshua was able to perform them?
"So fear Allah and obey me. Lo, Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship him. That is a straight path."
Yeshua came to fulfill the Scriptures, not eradicate them. Said another way, he made nothing that was forbidden lawful. He established the mechanisms of forgiveness so that we might be saved from judgment. Further, he knows who he is. The Messiah's name is Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves. He commanded us to love Yahweh, not fear Allah, and he said, "Follow me." Muhammad's ignorance is appalling. But Islam wouldn't be Islam if it didn't expose itself.
Bukhari, "There was a Christian who embraced Islam, and he used to write revelations for the Prophet. Later on, he returned to Christianity again, and he used to say, 'Muhammad knows nothing but what I have written for him.'"
This hadith impugns Islam coming and going. A literate man
who used to write the revelations for the Prophet
rejected Islam. A man Mohammed trusted enough to
write the revelations for
him said that
Muhammad knows nothing but what I have written for him.
And that's the bottom line. The Quran is little more than a racist and violent rant sandwiched between a pathetic job of plagiarism. Islam's prophet knew so little about the New Covenant Scriptures, and the Messiah in particular, everything he professed was wrong.
Quran 3 verse 52, "But when Jesus became conscious of their disbelief, he cried, 'Who will be my helpers in Allah's cause?' The disciples said, 'We will be Allah's helpers. We believe in Allah. And do you bear witness that we are Muslims?'"
The very idea of an ignorant and perverted terrorist thug and his demonic partner proclaiming in the sand dunes of Arabia that the Messiah believed in a pagan moon rock and called men to be Muslims is preposterous as it is factually and historically impossible. So why did these buffoons so thoroughly trash their own credibility? Why didn't the Mohammad Satan team simply ignore the Messiah in their Koran rather than falsely converting the Messiah to Islam? Sure, for the wannabe Messiah, it was one-upsmanship. But what was Satan's excuse? The answer is shocking. By deceiving mankind, by corrupting the Messiah's message, by demoting him, by artificially removing his divinity, his sacrifice, and his resurrection, Satan removed the only means of salvation. He damned billions. In Islam, jihad saves, but Jesus doesn't. Never forget, there is nothing Satan covets more than deceit, death, and damnation.